Let's goddamn do this thing. Hear the song, you know what that means. It is time for Monday Club! What's going on, everybody? This week, we cheers to beer and yoga. What couldn't be put together even better than that? We talk about my grandmother's surprise birthday. We talk about our stories from the road, and so much more. Stick around, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Woo! Cheers to beer yoga!
Cheers to beer yoga!
Holy shit, man. This is the most insane, awesome thing I've ever seen in my life.
Do you know how we have made it to that future spot in our world where people just have run out of ideas? Now they're just trying to fuse things together that have no business being put together.
Flexibility and alcohol? What? All right, I'm gonna play this, all right? So I found this video on Facebook, of course. Actually, funny thing. Cheers to BBC News again. This was on BBC News. Look at that.
Wait, beer yoga made it to BBC News? I think with this Brexit thing, they're just running out of important shit to talk about.
Like, we don't want to talk about politics anymore. All right, so here we go. So beer, they're all posing, doing yoga poses. We combine two things together, beer drinking and practicing yoga. We meditate and focus on our mind at the beer bottle.
So what you can't see, they're like really fit women in this video, all sitting around, all having a different beer, all wearing yoga clothes and doing yoga poses.
Why is there just women here?
Because they don't want to see the fat dude from the baseball game trying to do yoga poses and farting while he's drinking a beer.
Do you know, I do yoga. I do yoga like once or twice a week. And I've never tried it with beer.
Well, apparently it helps focus your mind and open your inhibitions so you don't mind doing downward dog in front of everybody.
That was one of the things the woman said. She's like, sometimes I'm shy, so beer makes me feel... This is all in subtitles, so I'm making up an American accent for her. It makes me feel open to other possibilities. That's why they serve it at the bar.
This sounds like the coolest club to go join. We should totally show up to one of these things, being the only dudes, and just bring a keg of beer and make it happen.
Red Solo cups and a little ping pong ball. Like, yo.
Look, I'll wear some Lululemon and drink out of a keg.
Would you do beer yoga?
Would I do? Yeah, hell yeah, I would do beer yoga.
You ever do yoga?
I have yoga'd in my life. The thing is, dude, I am not flexible like at all.
Well, maybe if you lost your inhibitions, you would be.
Yeah, dude, maybe it's kind of like those old kung fu movies, The Drunken Master, where the more beer I drink, the looser my limbs would get, and I'd actually be able to achieve nirvana.
I think beer has a part in achieving nirvana.
It probably does. Have you ever done any of those like hot yoga things? Have you tried any of those?
No, I've never done yoga.
Types of yoga?
I've never done yoga in public, just in the privacy of my own basement or hotel room. That's about it.
It sounds like beer yoga was meant for you then.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I do have inhibitions about my flexibility and body image in public.
You shouldn't, and you should totally do some beer yoga. In fact, here's my challenge to you. I challenge you to go do a regular yoga class. Just turn it into a beer yoga class.
What would they say if I brought a case of PBR into a yoga studio with...
What are those things on airplanes called? Therapy pets?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should tell them it's your therapy beer.
It makes me more open to new opportunities and possibilities.
It makes me open to these different poses.
And wait, so beer makes you open to new positions? What?
What?
That's what I heard.
Oh man! Hey, dude! Cheers to you, sir.
Them. So yeah, cheers. Oh, that was a loud toast. What are you drinking, man?
Today, I am on, I think it's my favorite Mexican beer. It's a toss-up between Dos Equis and Modelo, but today, Modelo won. So I'm on a Modelo Especial kick.
Modelo Especial. I don't think I've ever had that. I've had Dos Equis
It's my
Amber.
favorite. Yeah. No, Modelo, I like the Modelo Especial, and I like the Modelo Negro. Put a little salt on there.
You
Sip
put
it up.
salt in your beer.
I do.
Why?
And this beer I do.
Why? I don't get it. Educate me on your
I don't know.
salt.
That's just how this one's supposed to be drank.
Oh. So you just follow everybody down the salt hole of beer?
Down the salt hole of beer. Yeah, for this one, I do. I like my Blue Moons with the orange on top, and I like my Mexican beers with a little lime and a little salt on them.
All right, interesting. I got you. Okay, I get the fruit on occasion, but the salt. Do you don't put it on the rim like they do cocktails?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like pour a gallon of salt inside the beer, but yeah, just kind of sprinkle a little bit into the. This is a can, but yeah, sprinkle into the can and get a little bit on the rim, and it makes it taste like you're out on the beach in Mexico.
Yeah, Gus, we might have had our show title right off the bat: Salt Hole.
Way to just knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. What about you, man? What are you drinking?
I am drinking a whiskey and ginger. Delicious. I think I poured like 3 shots of whiskey into this pint glass, though. And a little bit of ginger with some ice and a pink straw.
When I'm and a nice pink straw. When I'm on airplanes, my go-to drink, if I'm drinking on the airplane, is a Jack and Ginger. Jack Daniels and ginger ale. It's my favorite.
This is my go-to drink overall in a bar. Like because when someone asks you at a bar, what do you want to drink, right? You have split second to make up your mind. If you hesitate, you're screwed. You're out of a free drink because they're just going to move on and go get what they want. But if you have something on the tip of your head, you can spout it out. And this is mine, Jack and Ginger. Bam.
I think that is such an important life lesson for everyone out there. You should have your own drink of choice and your own shot of choice. So that when someone puts you on the spot, you don't have to think. Because that's the worst, man. You go to a bar and someone's like, hey, we're doing shots. What do you want? And you're sitting there and you're like, man, I'm an adult. I don't know what shots I want, and so you have to just kind of wait for that long awkward period, and the bartender's looking at you crazy and all that. So yeah, have your drink of choice on hand, have your shot of choice on hand.
Is Jack and Ginger your drink of choice in a bar or just on airplanes?
Just on airplanes. In a bar, it's either a nice whiskey, or if I'm feeling lucky, I'll do a dark and stormy. That's another one of my favorite drinks. I also like the old fashioned, so it kind of depends on what mood I'm in. Or if someone's like, "Hey, let's do shots." Rule number 1 is never do a Jaeger shot at all, ever.
Wait, I've broken this rule plenty of times.
Oh yeah, I mean everyone breaks this rule all the time, but just don't start off with the Jaeger shots. That's the most important thing. So if we have to do a shot, I'm a tequila guy, man. I like the silver tequilas a lot.
Patron?
Shootings. Patron's good. Yeah.
I used to do back in high school. I mean, when I was 21, I had a tequila night with some friends, and me and my buddy drank an entire bottle of El Toro tequila in one night together. Now, you ever have El Toro?
Did it come in a plastic bottle?
No, but it came. You get it on the bottom shelf. It has a little sombrero on top for a cap.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty nasty. And El Toro night, yeah, that's a great idea.
I had a similar experience when I was in. I'm going to say high school because it was high school, but my friend got grounded for I think 6 months. And during that time, all he did was play. Do you remember that old school video game GoldenEye?
Yeah, the first person shooter with
yeah.
007.
Yeah. So he played GoldenEye every single day and got so ridiculously good at it that we got a bottle of I don't know, just terrible tequila. And we were sitting down and we were playing GoldenEye, and the rules was every time that he killed me and that he could say, hey, look at my screen, and his gun was pointed at the back of my head, before he killed me, I would take a shot. And I ended up taking 27 shots of this just god-awful tequila. And I ended up crawling. I couldn't walk. I just crawled hand over hand into the guest bedroom and curled up into a shaking ball. And he put, like, this is such a terrible story. He put the trash can from the bathroom under my head as a pillow. And just all night, I was just throwing up all night in high school. And then, because he's a dick, he turned on the religious channel on the TV. So every once in a while, I'd come conscious while vomiting up my toenails, and I'd look up and I'd see the preacher on TV at 4 o'clock in the morning, like, God hates you. And I'm like, I know. That's awful.
That's a dick move. Oh man. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to our drunken stories from high school. We appreciate you. We appreciate you sticking, hanging out with us on Monday and being part of Monday Club. Be sure to check us out on iTunes. Give us a little love up there. Email us, mondayclubpodcast@gmail.com, and let us know how we're doing. If you like it, if you don't like us, what if you... Well, if you don't like us, why the hell are you listening, first off?
No, I want you to. If you don't like us, just listen all the way through and then write us a long, hate-filled letter. We'd appreciate that.
Yeah, and we reserve the right to read anything we get in emails on air. So, unless you specifically say this is a private email, there's a chance it'll come on air. But, yeah, be our friends on Facebook, too.
Dude, so I got to tell you, this happened to me today. I was putting stuff into my car. We had an event this morning. I was putting stuff in the car, and my next door neighbor came outside, and he was sweeping his porch, which I guess I don't really understand that. I haven't achieved that level of adultum yet, that I don't sweep my porch. But he was sweeping his porch, and he looked over, and I was like, hey, man, how you doing? And he looked at me dead in the eyes like, well, it's Monday. And I was like, yeah, it is! Yeah! And he just looked at me crazy, and I went inside and hid.
You really did it with all that excitement?
Yeah, I was super excited.
Nice. We should have like Monday Club postcards, and you'd be like, "Here, cheer up on Mondays. Listen to this."
He wasn't having it. I mean, it was 7:30 in the morning, and he was sweeping his porch. So I guess I get it, but I was super stoked that it was Monday.
Dude, so I am opening a show this summer in Kennebunkport, Maine, at the end of June, every Thursday night. It's running to the end of August, last Thursday in August, and it's going to be at the Colony Hotel and Resort, and I'm really pumped. It's Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. You can get tickets at petermagician.com. If you're going to be in Maine, come to the show. Come hang out and see my show, and afterwards come up to me and say, hi, I'm part of the club, and I'll know what you're talking about. But I'm super pumped about this show, man.
First of all, congratulations. I think that's going to be great. It's always good to have a venue to try out your material and just get it so it's just robotic, that you got it down pat. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Question 2, though.
Yeah.
Question 2. Did you say at petermagician.com?
Yes.
Your website is dickmagician.com?
Yes. You know what's weird? All 3 of my given names, well, all of my names, all 3 of my names are euphemisms or metaphors for the penis.
Go through them.
Peter.
Yes.
Got that. My middle name is Richard. Which is, you can put 2 and 2 together with that one. And my last name is Bois, which is French for wood.
Are you serious?
Yeah, totally.
You got Dick as Oh, how did I not know this before?
Oh, I try not to point it out to anyone, but...
Oh, my God. If you haven't yet, you can get off mic and just go and register dickmagician.com right now. Because you would have so much fun. You could just wander around and do all kinds of just jerk moves on people with magic and be like, whatever, dickmagician.com.
So I just put dickmagician.com into Google, Should I press enter?
Yes. Do it. Yes.
Drum roll. Oh, welcome to dickmagician.com. It's GoDaddy. The webpage is parked for free here, courtesy of GoDaddy. So I could still get it. Or no, I could probably buy it from someone.
Yeah. Okay.
I was expecting something way worse.
But that's amazing. Dick.
Anyways, come pay me money and see my show this summer at the Colony Hotel Resort and Casino. I mean, Resort and Hotel. And it's really upper class place, so you'll love my. You know what's weird?
Wait, hold on. Do you have any sleight of hand moves that you've created?
Yeah.
Good, because those are all dick moves.
Oh man.
This won't get old for me.
No, it will not get old. But yeah, come see the show this summer. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm pumped. I wanted to get off the road a little bit, so that's why I have a weekly show at a hotel around here. Try to see if I can try selling tickets, see if we can sell that place out a few times this summer.
Well, best of luck to you, sir. Are you doing new material, same material? Are you trying out different things for each show? What are you doing?
Yeah, both. I'm working on new stuff right now for the summer. Hopefully I'll have a new ending. I'm working hard on that, and old stuff too. And I'm rewriting some stuff. Yeah, I'm going to play around with things, so it will be some new things.
We will shout this out again, especially during the summer.
Yeah,
but yeah. Please check.
It's coming.
Please check Peter out. Support local theater and support local theater. Andrew Peter.
What's your middle name?
My middle name is Augustus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not sure if I have any jokes about Augustus, but it sounds. That's like 3 syllables. I don't know. Oh, speaking of syllables, I got a visit this weekend from Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, no way!
Yes. They were so kind to come to my house. It was so amazing.
Did they knock? Were they very polite?
They were very polite. It was a husband and wife, and I was on the front porch with my family. We were just hanging out, playing outside, and we saw this car roaming around. I almost called the cops because I thought they were casing the entire neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And then they pull up, and they come out, and I kind of yell into my wife, "We got the Jehovah's Witnesses." No, I didn't yell in. I didn't. But I did say that to her, and without them hearing me. I don't want to be rude, but...
You don't want to be a dick?
No, I don't. It doesn't matter. I already am a dick, so... Times 3. So they came, and they wanted to talk to me about the kingdom of God and stuff, and I made a Jehovah's Witness laugh. I made him laugh. I'll tell you how.
What'd you do?
You can make any Jehovah's Witness laugh. This is how you do it. So I told him, well, thank you I really appreciate you coming around, telling people what you guys think. I think that's great. I myself, I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. And he's like, oh, really? And then he asked, may I ask, why'd you become an atheist? And I said, well, I read a lot of the Bible.
Nice.
And he laughed.
And that made him laugh?
Yeah. Because you know why? You know why things are funny? Because they're true. Probably, I might have converted him to a non-believer in that very instant, and he didn't even know it.
Wait. So isn't your tagline "The Magician for Non-Believers"?
Yes, but that has nothing to do with
religion.
Okay,
so you converted him to a non-believer.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, when Jehovah's Witnesses, I've had those experiences a handful of times in my life where they've come to my house. Do you let them talk? Do you engage them in conversation, or you just shut it down? Like not just this experience, but in general.
It depends. In the past, I've actually gone out on the porch and had a 45-minute discussion with them. And and last time I did that, so usually I'm too busy. I say I work from home and I'm really busy. But every once in a while I'll have a long conversation with them just for fun. And when I had this 45-minute convo with them at one point, they were like, we love talking to atheists. They're always so thoughtful and well-spoken.
All right.
I was like, well, Dolph, yeah, because we think about things. Gus, I don't even know your religious background. Am I insulting you?
No, you're not insulting me at all. I'm of the Christian leanings. I too have read much of the Bible, and much of it makes me laugh a lot. My wife was going through and reading the Bible, page for page, and every once in a while would come to me and be like, "Hey, did you know there's a talking donkey? Like the donkey just turns its head and starts speaking,
like the one from
that's in the Bible."
Shrek?
No, not
doesn't
not
joke
Shrek,
around?
like in the Bible. Oh. And again, I want to be very, very clear. I'm a believer. Like I don't.
That wasn't very sure of yourself. I'm a believer.
Oh man, here's the thing. I am a follower of Christian tenets. How about that? I think if in the space of, do you think that the teachings of Jesus are good? I am in the yes category. I think we can do without all of the magic tricks that are in the Bible, but and I am so against the idea of anyone saying that they're right that it's hard for me to just, oh yeah, I'm this way and that's the right way to be, because I don't believe that at all. I think that there's, let's just not hurt and murder each other, and I bet everybody out there with deific powers will we'll sort it out happily later. Yeah.
I'm right.
I mean, cool. That's fine.
I don't know I'm right. Maybe. I think I'm right. That's why I think that way. But cool, man. Yeah, I've never had the religion talk. I didn't expect to get into the religion talk with you, but yeah.
Yeah. And I think 90% of my friends are atheists, and that's cool. And they make very logical points.
Yeah. You know what that says about atheists?
Huh.
We're horrible missionaries.
It's true.
Because when you have 90% Christians friends, you're probably a Christian.
Well, yeah, I guess that would work out that way too. Let's talk stories from the road. Don't you have an intro for this?
Oh, I'm so excited. Hey, it's time for stories from the road. Whoa!
I'm so proud of you. Look at us growing.
We had our first segment intro. Wait, let's hear it again.
Right.
Hey, it's time for stories from the road. I just think that's perfection, personally.
It's pretty damn good. I wonder how long it's going to last. Like, I wonder what episode we change our intros for, because that'll be amazing.
It better last more than a year. I paid $30 for that 6 seconds of music.
All right, we'll get all $30 out of it then. All right, so let's start this off. You had an experience this week that you wanted to tell everybody about, right?
Oh, I was on the road and I hotwire my hotels. You ever hotwire?
I don't. I'm still an Orbitz guy.
Oh, I love hotwire for two reasons. You get great deals. Hotwire, we're looking for sponsors, by the way, and two, it's like hotel lottery. It's like you spin the wheel, you never know what you're going to get because you see the deal, you see the region it's in, but you don't actually see the name of the hotel. You see its star level and you see the price, but you don't know the name. So you know you're getting a decent hotel, so you press buy and pay, and then it loads and it's like da-da-da-da-da, and then it shows you the name and you're like, whoa, that was so exciting. I didn't know what I was going to buy, and then I bought it. I kind of get a little rush.
Oh, man, I cannot operate that way. No, absolutely not.
You get reviews, and then you get the star level, and you get like all this information except a lot of times they'll even give you what it's rated on TripAdvisor.
No, man, I am so brand loyal to the hotels that I stay at that there's just no way I could do that. Like, if there was one hotel that was exactly the same everywhere in the country, that would get all of my votes. Like, I would just stay there forever.
Do you know how much money you're wasting on hotels? You're probably wasting between $10 and $30 every time you stay at a hotel by not using either express deals on a Priceline or Hotwire.
Yeah, but I can find my way through the hotel in the dark, know that it's going to have all of the plugs that I want, and usually I'm only in the hotel for 7 hours max, and so I find the hotels that have the right shower head. It's got to have a good shower head and a decent bed, and that's all I care about.
Okay, how many nights do you spend in a hotel a year? 100? 150?
Probably 200.
200. Damn. All right, so
Yeah.
let's see. I got my calculator here. So you have 200 nights, and we'll average it out at what? $20 savings a night times 20. You just threw away $4,000, my friend. $4,000 a year. Wait.
All right.
You hear that? That's a cell phone calculator drop.
Dude, why I don't know how to get into this conversation. That's not even real science that you just did, because one, of course, I'm a premium member at all of the hotels that I like to stay at. So every third night is free, and I get all of the discounts from either the direct buy or from, because that's the thing.
You don't get
play
every third night free. Who the hell's giving you that?
If you get on it's every fifth night. Every fifth night is
massaging
free.
the facts.
Yeah. Okay. Every fifth night is free. The game that you have to play is you have to walk into the hotel, either book it online and just pay the original price, or play the game where you walk into the hotel and you say, "Hey, I've got this budget. Can you work with that?" And I would say 80% of the hotels that I do that at, they say, "Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. You know, our normal rate is $135 a night or whatever." And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I've got $75. Can you make that happen? And 80% of the time, they'll go for it.
Wow. That's impressive. Okay, what's the
you
hotel
gotta
brand?
have that face-to-face, contact.
What's the hotel brand that does that?
Any hotel.
Oh, okay.
No, I say any hotel. That's not really true. Any sort of mid-range hotel, like your Hampton Inns, your Best Westerns, your La Quintas, those kind of hotels. Those are the ones where if you walk in, you have a good attitude, you tell them what you're looking for, they click on the computer, they hit the magic buttons, and their job is to have their hotel rooms filled. They'd rather have $75 than nobody in that room. And usually, especially those nights where I'm just trying to stop and get a night's sleep at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, yeah, they just let me have that instead of buying it online.
You're kind of like the human hotwire then, because that's what they do. They just kind of try to fill rooms with low rates. That's pretty sweet. I'll have to try that one day. Anyways,
it's fun.
Back to my story. So I hotwired this room in Connecticut or New York. I think it was in New York. Connecticut. Connecticut, yes. And it was a really nice hotel. And it was weird. It was like almost a resort. They had multiple buildings, beautiful grounds, like statuettes and statues all around the grounds and old buildings and stuff. It was, I don't even remember the name of it now. And it was in Westchester. I think that's a pretty hoity-toity place. And I get up for breakfast, and I'm thinking, what? In hotels, you pay $15 for breakfast, right?
Yeah, something like that.
You know, you get like a little spread. And I show up for breakfast, and I ask him to put on the card. And right before he goes to swipe the card, he's like, "It's $26. Are you okay with that?" And my mouth must have dropped.
Wait, it was $26 for breakfast?
For breakfast. Breakfast. And this breakfast was an omelet station and then basically a continental breakfast. Fruit, pastries, coffee, juice, water, oatmeal.
See, that's the reason why I think I like staying at La Quintas and that tier of hotel, because you don't have to pay for Wi-Fi and breakfasts are always free. And so when I have to pay for breakfast, it's already an affront when I have to pay $8 to $10 for breakfast at a hotel, because I feel like that should be included in your breakfast and in your hotel stay. But $26?
Yeah, it was insane.
Like in my life, I've paid $26 to stay at a hotel. Now, it wasn't a good hotel, but still.
Oh man, yeah. So I kind of got screwed over into because what am I gonna do? I got to get to my show. It was an afternoon show, so I had to get there in the morning, and I was just like, go fine. And so I took 2 bananas and an apple on my way out.
Well, I'm sorry you got dicked over for breakfast, man.
Yeah, thanks for the dick joke again.
You're welcome.
Augustus.
So I had one of the most painful shows this past week that I have ever had in my entire life, and I just need to get it off my chest. Okay?
Well, you've come to the right place. Dr. Peter. Dr. Monday Club right here.
Dr. Monday Club's in the house. So here's the thing. A couple of weeks ago, I got a phone call from an agent, and the agent said, "Are you available on this day to do a corporate walk-around show?" And I said, "Hell yeah. Corporate walk-around shows are some of my favorites to do when it comes to magic." And he said, "Great. So this client, you may have heard of them. The client is Google."
You may have.
I may have heard of them.
Did you go Google them to see what they're all about?
I didn't need to, Pete. I didn't need to. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big name client, and I was super stoked because it was what they told me, it was an afternoon like luncheon party event, and so. Man, those are the kind of events that I just know I'm going to crush, right? I'm going to walk in, I'm going to make all the jokes, I'm going to shake all the hands, I'm going to make all the connections, and it's just going to feed into just better things, especially with a company that, you know, is up and coming, like Google.
You know their stock price is almost at $1,000?
I did not know that.
Yeah. They're in a race with Amazon. There's your CNBC news for the day.
Yeah, nice. So I was super stoked. I got all my magic stuff together. I actually practiced and rehearsed. I worked on some new sleight of hand to be even smoother while I was doing my show. I was just really excited for it. And I showed up 45 minutes early to the event. I park in their underground parking garage. I sign in. I sign the waiver form, the do not disclose.
This is at their campus? This is at their offices?
It's at their offices in Austin. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, right? So sign in. I get my little badge, my Google badge. They have to have an escort you around the building so that you don't get lost or try to spy on them or anything. And they take me up to the 4th floor. And now, I also got to say, I am dressed for this part, man. I've got my badass new Aldo shoes on. I'm wearing some pinstripe dress slacks. I've got a Robert Graham shirt on. I've got my nice fedora on. I am ready to rock this show. And the elevator door opens on the 4th floor, and I hear screaming little babies. And I round the corner, and the lady, my escort lady, says, "Yeah, so this is Bring Your Kid to Work Day, and here's your room."
The agent didn't tell you?
Nope. So I look around, and I'd say 90% of the kids that were in there were 4 or younger.
Oh my God.
And all their parents are there, but their parents are barely keeping track of these kids that are running amok in this one room. And they have a face painter, and they have a balloon artist, and they have a bubble machine going and music playing. And I was set there for 2 hours, and dude, I kid you not, I got out Whataburgered by a freaking bubble machine. Like, the bubble machine was way more popular than anything that I could possibly do. And it was just...
Bubbles are magic, man.
Yeah, it was so embarrassing. It was like... I could have flipped the light switch on and off for some of these kids, and that would have been just as magical as the triple lift that I just did. Like, it was such a tanking, heartbreaking feeling to be so stoked for a show and then just have it come crashing down upon me.
Oh man, that sucks, dude. My heart is breaking for you, but I'm also laughing a lot, pointing my finger at you. Oh man,
it was terrible, man.
I've had shitty shows like that too, and oh man, yeah, you'll laugh about it one day.
Oh yeah, I mean, give it time, and it'll make it much better in my head.
That's the worst thing.
The worst part was just I wasn't dressed for the part by any stretch of the imagination. I had nothing really in my bag of tricks that I could do that was going to entertain a 4 or 5-year-old, and the parents there could not care less. They were just, "Where's the bar? There's my kid. Get your face painted."
They have a bar at Google.
Oh yeah, they had a nice bar. They had a nice bar and a nice coffee bar set up in this room. Yeah.
But like if you had known, you could have killed the show, right? I mean, you do family style shows on occasion, right?
I could have done a much better job had I known.
Yeah.
But my show, none of the stuff I do anymore is for that age group.
Yeah.
And I could do even 6 and above. I think I could probably stretch and do that age. But 4, I mean, for 4 you need a clown with a red nose and a horn.
Yeah. That's the worst part of working with. I would guess it's like a local agent. I'm guessing, where they just want to like book the show. They don't ask any details about it, or they're just like, look, there's going to be people, and it's going to be in a building. Go do it.
Yeah. And I was so stoked for that show, man. For Google, yeah, good job, agent. I'm there.
Yeah, but you could put Google on your client list now. No one will know unless they listen to Monday Club.
Well, but that means everybody will know.
Everybody except 909. I was going to say 99.99% of the world.
Well, Google, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I did my best I could for your kids. If you want to see some real magic, please have me back.
You know what? I hated those shows. I used to do a lot of birthday parties and first communions, and like first communions and like that style of show where the parents have rented out like a room in a bar in a hotel or something were the worst, because they would just, it was at like right after food or whatever, they just send you and the kids to the corner, and the parents wouldn't care less, and you're like,
you're a babysitter.
Yeah,
that's
you're
what
a
you are.
babysitter.
They want you to be a babysitter.
Yeah. And it was the worst. Yeah, because I've never done like a full-on kids show. It was always kind of a family show. And because there was stuff needed for the I needed adults there to make it a cohesive show, and also to like, backslap the kids.
Keep everybody in line.
Order,
yeah.
Yeah.
So have you ever had a shitty show?
Nope.
That's weird, because I don't believe you.
My most recent shitty show, I did a college gig in Boston, and my buddy came to it. It was the first time he came to see my show, and I completely bombed. It was probably one of the worst shows I've ever done, and I don't think it was entirely my fault. I mean, I probably needed to come out with more energy or something, but it was like one of those afternoon shows, and the audience was around tables, and they were spread out a lot, which is the kiss of death for any performer.
Yep.
I came out, and I was doing my show and my jokes and my magic, and I just kind of got the blank stare from everybody.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
It's the performer's curse that whenever I've ever had anyone that I cared about come to one of my shows, it was always in the bottom 5 of that season's show. I don't know what it is that makes it where I have somebody come, I know they're going to be in the audience, all I want to do is just knock it out of the park, be like, hey, yeah, that's what I do. And almost every single time I've had somebody show up to the show that was a friend of mine, and it was just a lame audience, the tech didn't work, the lighting didn't work, the jokes didn't work. I don't know what it was, but yeah, it's always that way.
You always want to be a rock star for your friends when they come, people when they come see the show. You want it to be like that night where you had autographs for an hour, right? And it never happens that way.
Right. That's exactly right.
Actually, I have done some good shows for friends, but I'm sorry you've never had to experience that. But that was probably the worst one.
I've had so many bad ones, just where I felt like I should apologize or explain that I have a different job or something like that.
So what did you do for those kids at Google? Did you do strolling magic? Or did you set up and do card tricks for them?
I luckily had some other stuff in the car, so I grabbed a magic coloring book and tried to do magic coloring book as a walk around effect. And I had some rubber bands, so I tried to do some rubber band stuff for them. And I had a hot rod, and I did a hot rod for them because they can at least count to 6, or at least the older ones could count to 6. Anyway, those are the tricks that I did. And yeah, man, it was just embarrassing. It was all dressed up and nowhere to go.
Yeah, those babysitting gigs are just so embarrassing. You feel like your soul is being ripped from your
and especially
chest.
For that company. I don't know why I had it in my head that I was going to just knock it out of the park and Google was going to call me every weekend to come do stuff. But that's sort of what I thought was going to happen. I thought I would go in and just make all the right contacts, and it's embarrassing to be in front of people who are clearly well dressed. They are working for a dynamic company. They've got good things going for them, and all they want is their little ankle biter kid to be happy because they're bringing them to work. And I show up, and I'm like, "Hey, let's do some stuff." And the kid could not care less. They just want to go and pop bubbles with their tongue. It's awful.
I did a show that reminds me. You said knock it out of the park. I did a show at Fenway Park. And I've done a couple shows there, but it was and I knew going in it was a kids show, so I wasn't surprised. But it was in the basement. It was like right next to the locker rooms. Not everyone can get in there, but it was for the kids and the mothers while their parents played a game, like a Major League Baseball game, like upstairs. Like I was entertaining the kids when I was like. Really wanting to be upstairs with the dads.
You got put at the kids' table for the magic tricks. That's awful.
Yeah. I'm like, can you guys here's some bubbles. Can I go upstairs now?
With your cool parent?
Drink a beer and watch some Big Pappy hit some home runs.
That sucks. So I was thinking back about some of my earlier career when I was in college and in high school, just getting started in the Magic game, and I was starting to do my first kind of performances. Some of the worst performances that I've ever done. So let's just pull it off like a Band-Aid, Pete. What's one of the worst ones that you remember from back in the day?
Good question. Probably back in the day, I don't know. There's just an onslaught of just doing magic for 20 kids and the parents being super loud in the back of the room or in the backyard, and you're not able to really do a show. And then people start leaving in the middle of the show, and you're just kind of like left there. You just have to kind of perform. You have to pretend like you're on stage for 1 million people and everybody's loving it in your head, but inside you're like crushed and dying.
I think for any young magician listening or any young performer of any kind listening, I think that what you just said is the absolute key. Just keep going. Don't acknowledge that any of that craziness is happening, and just finish your set and then walk off. And it'll be funny because while from your perspective you think, oh man, that was a shitty show, somebody in the audience is going to be like, well, that was great. That was one of my favorite things that you did. And it is. It's really hard to not get caught on, hey, it looks like nobody's paying attention, or the adults are in the back playing quarters and the kids are just right here and they're not having any fun. It's not true. You're doing a good job. You just got to stick with it.
Yeah. I have had some interesting moments in shows, though. I remember one time I was doing a show for a library, and I was doing my straitjacket escape at the end of the show, and there was some parents sitting on the floor with their kids, and there was this mother with a baby, front row. I still remember, stage left, right in the front. And she was breastfeeding, and that's fine. I'm cool. I'm totally cool with public breastfeeding. But sometimes I'm like, I don't know where to look. I can't. I'm looking at her in the eyes. I don't want to ignore her. Because I don't want to make her feel left out. But I don't want to like stare too long at her face, because then it's kind
of. What's the optimal time for making eye contact with a breastfeeding woman in your front row? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I everything was fine throughout the show, and then I was escaping at the very end, and I pull my arm over my shoulder, and then I look her way, and as soon as I looked at her, the baby fell off of her nipple. and I got a little show.
Nice. That's happened to me too. I've got to say the library, I don't know what it is about library magic shows, but there was one library magic show I did where the breastfeeding convention just came in. There was like 6 women in the audience breastfeeding, and like you, I'm cool, man. That's natural. That's a natural part of life. I just was not prepared with my 19-year-old self to just see people just flop them out and start breastfeeding their kid. That's just not something I was prepared for.
They need to do it more, so it becomes less for younger males. It's less of awkwardness.
In all seriousness, I do think it's totally natural and it's not weird and all of that. I think it's such a weird dynamic where your brain is half engaged when you're performing because you're concentrating on all of the different mechanics and dynamics of your show, and there's a small piece of you that's also registering everything that's going on, and so that small voice is the voice is like, hey, did you just see a nipple?
Yes. The nipple radar went off. It was we have a nipple. You can't look. You're compelled to look.
Oh my god. Yeah, man, I've had some terrible shit like that happen before. I pulled out a dead dove one time at a magic show. That was awful. Yeah.
What? Wait, just don't gloss over this.
Yeah, I used to make a dove appear in my magic show, and I was young and dumb, and I did a 4th of July outdoor party in Texas. So it was 120-something degrees, and I kept my dove in. I feel so bad. I kept my dove in a change drawer. It's a drawer that looks like it's empty. You close it and you open it up, and
otherwise known as a greenhouse.
Right, otherwise known as a giant suffocating coffin. But I didn't think about that, and so I went on and I did my opening, and I went and I opened up this box. And I pulled out this completely limp and lifeless bird, and I held it by its torso and just shook it up and down so it looked like it was flapping, and then just put it in my case like it was a fake bird. Because it was funny, everyone always used to say, well, that's a fake bird. And this time I was like, yeah, it's a fake bird, it's cool. And then moved on. But the rest of the show, I was just heartbroken that I had killed my dove.
What was the dove's name?
Dude, I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, you don't even remember the dead?
Well, it's funny. Actually, I can answer your question. Its name was Vanilla. It was a white dove. Its name was Vanilla. And I know that because every magic dove that I've ever used for like 15 years has always been named Vanilla.
Good thinking. Oh, man, that's got to be the most awful feeling in the world. I've actually had a dove. I worked with doves. I had a dove die in my hand, not because I killed it.
Technically, I didn't kill it. The prop killed it.
Mine's a sad story. Mine was sick, and I was giving it medicine through its beak, and I don't know either. I think it might have choked on the actually, maybe I did kill it. I don't know if it died from being sick or he choked on the medicine I was trying to give it to make it feel better, but it wasn't good.
Oh my god.
There was some flapping
I laugh,
around,
but I've done that before too. I
hands.
found a bird outside. It wasn't a dove, but some baby bird that the mom had abandoned, and there were cats circling it. And so I don't know. You get those weird moments where like, I can't just leave it out here. It's going to get eaten, which is the circle of life. That's what's supposed to happen. But anyway, I took it in, and I did the thing where you get that nasty smelling food and you put it in a syringe and you get it all warmed up and you try to squirt it down the thing's mouth or whatever. And I kept it alive for 2 days, and then one day it just choked on its stuff and it died. That made me sad too.
A for effort. I mean, you could have sped up the process and put it in your greenhouse.
Don't be a dick.
I had a show, and I remember looking in the back of the room, and I thought I recognized an old girlfriend. Did that ever happen to you?
Yeah, totally. Actually, that has happened to me before.
Yeah? Did you get real nervous? Because I got real nervous. I got the full-on
flop sweats at
Me too!
At this library that I was at, because I looked up, I made full eye contact with this chick, and I was sure that it was somebody that I had dated in college, and just full-on flop sweats. Just the armpit started dripping, and the forehead started dripping. It was awful. And then come to find out that I've never seen this chick in my life.
I had the exact same experience. Oh, man. That's a scary thing.
I don't know why it's scary. It's just, I think it's that same little tiny part of your brain that's paying attention to all the extra details that when you're scanning the room, it's talking to you. And it's like, blah blah blah. Person in the second row is really having a good time. They'd be a good person to volunteer to come up on stage. Person in the third row on far stage left, that person is going to be also a good person, but we need to get them early. And then you scan to the back and be like, blah blah blah. There's Leslie from back in the day. But wait, what?
Let's go back. Did I wait? Who broke up with who?
Was that on me?
Was she still pissed at me? Was that the one that called me late at night 3 years later, telling me I was pregnant? She was pregnant.
Awkward. Hey, real quick, going back to the where PETA gets mad at Monday Club, the terrible stories.
Send all your hate mail, PETA, to thegusdavis at
gmail.com. So this is almost a redemptive story. Different dove. Same kind of thing happened. I think it got dehydrated. I don't know what happened to it, but I pulled it out to take it to a show. It was like flapping on the bottom of the cage with its head tilted and just barely moving its wings, and its wings were all spread all crazy looking, and it couldn't walk, and it was just jacked up. And I was like, oh man, my poor magic dove. Now, you can buy a brand new dove for $8 from the pet store. Easily. Like $8 is full price for a dove, okay? Anyway, I felt bad about this dove, and it had gone out and done a bunch of shows with me, so I took it to the vet, because I thought that's what you should do if you have a sick pet that you care about. I took it to the vet. And the vet took it in, and we had to fill out all this paperwork about my stupid vanilla number 27 dove, and got all the paperwork done, and the vet came and saw it and did all this stuff. And the vet came up to me after they had done their initial physical, and they said, okay, just so you know where we're at, the initial visit plus the physical is $80. And I think what we need to do to this dove to make it better is put it on this kind of medicine, but the medicine is $420. So I just need you to sign this piece of paper that authorizes us to do this procedure for your dove. And I was like, oh, hell no. Just hell no. This dove is going to die. So I take it back, and I'm pissed. I'm paying their $80 or whatever, and I take it back, and I put it in my sink, and I fill the sink with water and ice cubes. And I'm like, maybe this will just shock the dove into living. And I kid you not, that dove lived for another 15 years after I did that. It's like it's so stupid it forgot that it was dying. It just got shocked by cold water, and it was fine.
So what gave you the idea to put it in ice-cold water? I thought you were going to try to kill it by putting it to sleep and freezing it. I thought you were like, this is the most humane way they can kill a bird.
I don't know. I don't know what made me think of that, except that it was hot. It was summertime still, and it was... I figured, if you're going to die, you might as well die cold instead of die of heat. That's how vanilla number 19 died. So I put it in a bath of cold water, and it seriously lived for 15 more years.
Wow. So scientific evidence suggests if you're about to die, take a cold bath.
Yeah.
You'll live for 15 more years.
Actually, I think that's actually how when brain injuries happen, if you can get the brain iced up, you have a better chance of saving the whoever got the brain injury. There's some real science knowledge for you.
I have a buddy who is on a response team, cryogenic response team. He would be an interesting guest on Monday Club one day. So people can sign up. They pay money, or they sign away their life insurance. So you can buy life insurance to have this pay for this. When you die, this team comes in, and within the specified time frame that's adequate to keep your brain okay, whatever, after you die, they will suck all your blood out and preserve your body and freeze you cryogenically. Right? And you go into this warehouse, and you're frozen indefinitely. The hope is that one day science will figure out how to bring these people back alive.
Wait, you actually know somebody who's into doing this?
Who has done this, and he wears a little wristband that if I'm dying, call this number, because he's got it set up for himself. They also have two options. You can do your entire body, or you can just do your head. So that's, if science gets long enough where you could download your consciousness, or like we talked about last week, put your head on a different body and bring your head back alive.
Holy crap. No. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Like, yeah, I mean, if you're going to die, just die. Don't die and hope that you get a second quarter to go.
What? That's
what I'm saying. Don't think you got the tilt thing on a pinball machine and you get to come back and do it all again. Like, that's creepy.
Yeah, but imagine dying and then 200-300 years later you wake up.
Imagine dying, and let's go back to the religion thing. Imagine dying and you're in heaven, and heaven is filled with all of the sexy, and then you get ripped out of that.
There's no heaven.
And into a jar where it's just your old ass head stuck in a floating jar, and there's all these aliens looking around you. I mean, no, absolutely not. Oh, that's creepy.
That's a thing. That'd be interesting. All right, back to bad magic shows.
No, dude. Oh.
I had a WWF wrestling match break out in the middle of in a birthday party show once.
How do you mean? Do you actually mean they fought each other, or was it a brawl? How'd that go?
I just remember doing my show, and then when I look up, 15 8-year-olds were pig-piled on top of each other, like pulling on each other's legs and body slamming. I just kind of looked at the dad, and I was like, I shrugged and kind of was like, you gonna do something about this? This is not in my line of training.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
As a magician.
Yeah, kids suck. Yeah, those old magic shows for little kids they're hard, man. I think they're way harder than doing college age or corporate work. Because with corporate work, you fool them even a little bit, or you make them laugh even a little bit, and they think, oh, you're cool. But I've had kids just walk up and just be like, well, you're not funny, and then walk away. It's like, God, that hurt my feelings, little 5-year-old brat.
They're hard to fool too with magic tricks, because they develop these amazing methods to your simple tricks. And they think, oh, the coin went up your sleeve and around your back, and then you have a little device that makes it invisible and flies through the air and goes to my ear, and that's when it becomes invisible again when you go to pluck it. And that's
Holy
how
shit.
you do
So
it.
I had that exact experience this last week where I was doing that show. I showed a trick to one of these little kids, and the kid was like, well, I know how you did that. And I was like, oh, this will be fun. How did I do it? And he said, well, you have a little thing that does that where it pulls it back, and then it magically goes into your pocket, and then that's how you do it. And it's like,
I love how the explanation to the method included the word magic.
I was like, well, even if that was the case, that's amazing, right? No, I know how you do it.
Because it so magically went to... It's like, I vanished an elephant. I'm not impressed. I know how you do it. You use magic.
So come back when you're better.
So I think we should talk. It's been a while. We've had some time to digest this guy who got dragged off, kicking and screaming off of this United flight.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because you and I travel a lot. And how often do you think you're on flights? Like, how many flights a year do you think you take?
50 to 60.
And have you ever been on, of course you have, on one of these oversold flights where they say, hey, we're looking for volunteers to get off the plane or not get on the plane and take a later flight and we'll give you a voucher?
Yeah. That happens all the time. People are...
And have you ever taken the voucher?
I have never taken the
voucher. So
voucher.
I've taken a voucher once because it happened to be that I could take a later flight, and it just worked out, and so that was hooray for me. I got a couple of extra dollars to spend on my next flight. So I have done that. I've been in the situation where it was gangster, man. I had a flight, I don't remember what airlines it was because I wish I could put them on blast, but I had a flight where I booked my flight, I got my ticket, I paid for everything, I went to check in online, and they said, hey, you can get your ticket at the ticket counter, which is always a bad sign. So I showed up to the airport on time, I dropped my luggage off, I made it through the security, I got up to my gate, and the lady at the gate, the poor lady who has the worst job ever, is sitting there, and she's like, yeah, so you're on standby. I'm sure the flight will, once it's boarded, will give you a ticket and you can get on the plane. And I was like, no, I've booked this flight already. I should already have a ticket. And they said, well, it was an oversold flight. Anyway, you're on standby. We'll get you there. But there were 3 of us that had that situation. And we all did everything right. We paid for our ticket, we checked in, we did all the things. So we're sitting there and the flight boards, and she says, okay, well, there's good news. We have 2 tickets, like 2 seats available. And there's
good
3
news.
of us.
And there's 3 of you?
Of us. And so she says, well, we have 3 seats available, or 2 seats available, and one of you is going to get on this later flight and get to wherever you're going. But the later flight was much later. It would have made it where I couldn't have made my show. And so the first lady was like, well, I'm going to a wedding. I need to get there. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go do an event that I'm already contracted for. I have to be there on this flight. And we turned to the last lady, and she was so sad. She was just like, I mean, I guess I'll wait at the airport for another 6 hours. And then that was it. And me and this other lady were like, hey, sorry. And we got our tickets and left. So I say that story because that was a shitty situation. We as the customer got put in a situation where we had to duke it out to see who was going to get on this flight. This United flight that got all this press, they had already made it onto the plane. They had legally made it onto the plane. They'd sat down doing everything right. And then they got into a weird situation where they had employees of United that needed to take a flight. And instead of just either saying, hey, I'll give $30,000 to the first 3 of you that get off this plane, they decided that, no, what we're going to do is we're going to forcibly remove somebody from this plane. And I don't care all of the other backstory or any of the other crap that happens. Getting knocked out and drugged down the aisle of a plane, bleeding and screaming, is never, ever how 2 adults solve a problem. So just that is my 2 cents on this whole thing. That's never, ever the right answer, is to punch someone in the face and drag them kicking and screaming out of anything.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I'm so surprised how, first with your story, I've never realized people are told they're on standby when they think they've purchased a real ticket.
Yeah.
That's messed
up. It was awful.
I know it's a standard practice, but that's got to be it's got to be illegal, like in a weird sense, right? Like false advertising?
That's how it felt. It felt like false advertising. But they can hide behind so many different things. Oh, well, they switch planes on us, and so it's a smaller plane, so we're doing the best we can. I mean, there's so many different things that an airline can do to protect themselves.
You know what they hide behind, though? It's the user agreements, that fine print that no one reads at the bottom right before you click buy. You say, we can kick you off for no fucking reason.
Pretty much right, yeah. I even get the idea of overselling a flight, because it's true. There are people who aren't going to make their flight. Thanks, TSA. But the problem is, if everything works out perfectly, and we're in such a culture now where I think most people know to get to the airport as early as freaking possible so that you can make it through those long lines, that you can make it through security, and you can throw out your water and mail back your pocket knife or whatever, just so you can get on this plane. So when you get up there, if you've done everything right, if you've made it onto the airplane and you've stowed your gear and all that stuff, you should never, ever, ever, unless you're threatening other passengers, be drug off an airplane.
This is why you always get status on an airline. That's why I stick with one
Southwest
airline.
is sitting pretty right now, yeah.
I've never known them to forcibly remove anybody like that. I don't think that when they put their little random algorithm in to come up with a random passenger, I don't think they put their first class passengers in that algorithm.
Man, the airlines is one of those few vestige businesses that still has elitism in it. I think there's some cruise ships that are like that, and air travel is still like that. You can go on an airplane. Anybody can go on an airplane dressed however they want to. I've seen people, grown-ass people, dressed in their pajamas and their claw slippers and just looking ratty, right? And that's fine. You paid for a ticket, get on the plane, nobody cares. But I'll tell you what, if you get on an airline, any airlines, dressed for business or work, they will definitely treat you better than anyone else. And so, yeah, that's why if you can get on their class system, so get in first class or be an elite member or an A-list member or something like that, or a diamond member with Delta, if you can get on one of those programs, then a lot of this disappears. Doesn't make it right. It just means that a lot of it won't be directed at you. So, yeah, if you and most of those things you can pay to be in that class. It's like $25 on Southwest, and you can get the business check-in or whatever that is.
Yeah, you think there'll be any government intervention with the regulations of airlines and the practices of this?
No, absolutely not. I don't think so. I think this was in the end. This ended up being United's mess to clean up, because by their own rule book, by all that tiny print that they had, they did everything right. They can look through and legally say, this is how that's supposed to go. But that's how it's supposed to go in legalese. In the visual of a paying passenger getting beat up and drug out is a PR nightmare, and that's why they've lost. So they lost so much money from customers just dropping United. I'm not flying United. How about you? Are you going to fly United after this incident?
I try my hardest never to fly United. My airlines of choice are, in order, Southwest, Delta, and Delta's only come up in the last few years too. I think they've stepped up in customer service and all that other stuff over the last few years. But yeah, I try not to fly any other airlines. JetBlue, they're not bad. I don't mind.
Yeah,
JetBlue.
I'll do Southwest, JetBlue, and Delta probably in that order. And I'm so loyal to Southwest that I will fly into a Southwest city, rent a car, and drive 5 or 6 hours in another direction to get to the city that I need to get into. We fly Southwest a lot.
I am doing that tomorrow, Gus, which I'll save that story for after it happens.
How long are you going to drive?
6 hours.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that all the time. It's what you got to do.
One of the main reasons why I'm doing it is that flights into the town I'm going to is like $1,200. So decided 6 hours is worth
making it a little road trip. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, to finish this United Airlines thing up,
don't fucking drag people off flights.
Also, just realize that we live in a world where everybody has a camera on them. Nothing you do outside is private anymore. So before you punch somebody in the face and physically remove them from anywhere, I don't care if it's a bar, a playground, an airlines, wherever you're removing somebody from, think to yourself, when this is on the nightly news or on YouTube, or when I see this pop up in my feed, am I going to be okay with being the person that bloodied someone and drugged them off of this place? And if the answer's no, don't freaking do it.
I would submit, before you think about that, think about, should I hit somebody or not? Is this the right thing to hit somebody, to manhandle somebody? To accost somebody? Is this the right thing to do? Yeah, don't do it.
Don't
right?
do it. Just don't do it.
Don't do it. Well, that was like a third teachable moment, man. But we do have more teachable moments for you.
Let's do it. Let's do another teachable moment
on this week's episode of Monday Club. So here's my teachable moment. This is a running theme in my life. Just start doing whatever it is you do. Do it now. Just do it. There's Nike's slogan, just do it. Today is the very first day I started vlogging for my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Peter Boie, B-O-I-E. And I'm trying to force myself to do at least one vlog a week. Mainly it'll be a road vlog. But I told myself, I'm going to practice, carry some cameras around, start practicing making videos a little more and talking to the camera. And I'll start it up in the fall. That was my thought process. And then literally a day or two ago, I was like thinking to myself, man, if I wait till the fall, I'm going to totally lose my resolve. I'm never going to do it. I should just start doing it now. And I was thinking, well, I need this other camera or this lens. And I'm like, no, just start doing it now. So I decided Monday to do it, and today's Monday. So that's what I'm doing. We'll see how it goes. Just do it, man. Just whatever you want to do, get up and do it. And do it again and again and again and again.
That's really, really, really solid advice. I think a lot of people wait or don't do something because they're embarrassed that they're going to look stupid. And everyone looks stupid the first time. But if you start now, the next time you do it, you'll be a little bit better. So yeah, that's really good advice.
Don't be afraid of sucking, because I'm sure my vlogs are probably going to suck for a little while. But you know what? Throughout the years, I've known I got better at things. I don't know if I get great at everything, but they improve.
Yeah.
So I know they're going to get better, but don't be afraid of sucking and just get out there and do it.
There you go. Dick the Magician reminds you, don't be afraid of sucking.
There's a fourth teachable moment. Definitely don't be afraid of that.
My teachable moment is this.
That makes the world a better place.
It does. My teachable moment is this, and it's just a personal pet peeve. I hate the phrase when somebody says, I may or may not do something. That's such a waste of breath. If you call me and you say, hey, we may or may not have a show next weekend, I feel like you could have saved this entire phone call and not called me. If you may or may not do something, that means either it will happen or it won't happen. And I'm aware of that. I'm an adult. I'm a sentient being. I know that. So either tell me that this is going to happen or tell me it's not going to happen. But if it may or may not happen, I mean, dinosaurs may or may not come back. Am I right? I'm right.
Wise words, Augustus. So I may or may not press our outro music right now.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening to Monday Club. I want to remind you real quick, you can rate us on iTunes, follow us on MondayClubPodcast.com, on Facebook, it's Facebook.com/MondayClubPodcast, Twitter @MondayClubPod, Instagram @MondayClubPodcast, and email us at MondayClubPodcast@gmail.com. Special shout out to our audio editor, James Caldwell. Our music is brought to you by Mr. DJ Z, Zach Holder. Pete has been Pete. I have been Gus. Thank you guys so much for listening.